People said I actually resembled an eagle in that moment, soaring through the sky, wind at my back, pushing me forward. However, this is where it gets terrible. Flashes of the paparazzi lights catch me in the right eye. I go blind temporarily. How's it? Now you're probably wondering how this goober, out of all the people, could have a skiing record. The fastest time ever recorded by man going down a slope on 2 flimsy little poles. Now, I often ask myself that same question, but to give it a bit of context, we're going to have to go back a little. Now, the year was 2022. A good year, a great year, especially for Argentina. However, that was yet to happen, the Football World Cup. Now, as it so happened, I was about to be in Italy. Reason behind it? Skiing trip, boys trip, brothers, father. Gonna be absolutely mental. Now, obviously, being from Africa, the amount of snow is rather little, if none, to be completely honest with you, which means I'm not exactly the most experienced skier. I've skied once before in my life, and I thought I was pretty good at it. Now, going in for round 2 after about 5 years of waiting, you're not to expect much. However, I have some belief in myself, so we were about to rip it up on the slopes. An 18-hour flight to London was our first stop. Pretty long. Naturally, long boy syndrome means not exactly a comfortable journey. We're met by another couple hours on a train, you know, the smelly usual lot always on it. Not exactly the best place to find yourself after a long journey, but you know, we're almost there. We're about to arrive at the airport to get on one of the prestigious planes, commonly known as Ryanair, to take us on our final transit to Italy. Now, we meet up with the brothers, you know, obviously the oldest is also the shortest, as well as my dad, and we're on our way. We're late, as per usual, as it runs in the family name. We're just those people. It's not a good look, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. You're born with it, it's just in your bloods. I think it's something to do with, you know, red blood cell count, something like that. There's probably a scientific research somewhere. However, as a result, we end up running towards our gate. You know, the final call lady in that voice going, final call's absence. So naturally that means we put on our running shoes, tie our laces and proceed to run to our gate. So now we're the sweaty people, which again, not ideal, but it is what it is. We own it. We are those guys now. We're the sweaty guys. Shirts on our shoulders, squeezing out the sweat onto our bags directly, just honing out the whole airport. So we get to our gate. The lady's obviously looking at us unimpressed, and she's one of those, you know, middle-aged women. You can tell she's really keen to have a bit of a battle. So what do? We come up rushed, out of breath, youngest first naturally, make sure baby boy is through the gate. I'm freshly 18 though, so it means I can fly on my own. I walk up to the scanner, passport in hand, ready to go, like a Pokemon trainer, ready to show my card. Beep on the scanner, ding, I get put through. Absolutely brilliant. I celebrate, small fist bump in the air, chuffed with life, happy to get on this trip to go skiing. Next, middle brother, tallest, a little bit lanky, but you know, you get what you get. Beep, scans it, bing, another one through, high five, everything's good. Oldest next, shortest, built like a gorilla, beep, scans it, he gets through, happy days, group high five, everything's going well, we're so chuffed. Now, this is where it becomes a bit devastating. My dad now comes, he puts it on the scanner, beep, ba-ba, denied, we don't know why. Naturally, we think it's a fault in the system. So he goes in for the second tap. Beep, denied. So now we're a bit concerned. And as he's lifting his hand to scan it a third time, the old lady, well, not old, middle-aged lady, walks up to him. She asks him to hand over his passport. So naturally he does. You know, we're abiding citizens. We do what we're asked of. Especially when it comes to transport, you know, it can be a bit of a snag if you don't do so. Passes over his passport. She snatches it. opens it up, starts shifting through all the pages. We're a bit concerned now. With a long finger, with one of those grubby, long nails, she starts to read over his passport, line by line, slowly. She's double reading. She's probably dyslexic like me, jumping from line to line. But finally, she gets to a point where she stops. So we all peer over, look at the passport, and her finger is stopped on the expiration date of my father's passport. So now naturally we're confused. We'd just flown 18 hours to get to the UK. So how could his passport be expired? Well, if you've ever traveled in Europe, you'll be aware of this law. It so turns out you're not allowed to travel within Europe if your passport is less than 6 months until expiration, and my father's passport was due to expire in 3 months. So, being Zimbabweans, first order, we whip out a €50 note. I'm joking, we don't do that. But we try to haggle, Come on, what's the issue? You can't let us go without our dad. That's just cruel, you'll be put in the jails for that. That's slammable offenses. Then you're going to be dropping the soap. And that's not a situation you want to find yourself in. She's stern, she doesn't budge on the situation. So we're obviously the boys behind the barrier separating us from our dad. We have a small tear, we're gutted. No more ski trip with the boys. And then this is a part I respect, however, it is still sad. My father looks over at us, glimmer in his eyes. He reaches in his pocket, shuffles around, pulls out a chewing gum. Clearly not what he was looking for, because he put his hand back in his pocket, kept shuffling, whips out his credit card. Like handing over the baton in a relay race, he hands over the card over the barrier to us like a signal of freedom. And he says to us some very moving words. He says, "Have fun, my boys." Now, obviously we're gutted. With tears streaming down our face, our father's back turns towards us and he walks away. And as he gets out of sight, we all look at each other, look down at the card, and we realize this could be fun. In all seriousness, we're gutted he couldn't come though. So, naturally, we get onto our prestigious flight, Ryanair, known around the world for their safe landings, quick transport, affordable prices, and A1 cuisine. So we get in the plane. Obviously, it's a luxurious ride. It's a good flight, We fall asleep, wake up to the plane slamming against the runway, and what do you know? We're in Italy. Snow floating from the skies. Eyes beaming bright. Reflections crazy. So cool. We get out, get in our little bus, we get shuttled over to our accommodation. And first things first, we're in a snowy country. What does that mean? Jaeger. So we go over to the liquor store, buy a little bit of Jaeger. It's going to be a good time. Keep the insides warm because we sure as hell know the outsides aren't going to be warm. So, as experienced skiers and major trophy holders in our past, what do? We go to the rental equipment place. Now, this story is important in this factor. I broke the record on rental equipment. Now, if you can't do that yourself, I don't think you should be able to categorize yourself in any record situation at all. Dunzo, finished. You have to be able to do what you do with any equipment necessary. So, I grab the equipment I need. Orange boots, orange skis, optimal for maximum speed. I strap them on. Instantly, if you've ever worn ski boots, you may be able to relate. My feet start bleeding, cramping. Small bruises start creeping up my ankles towards my thighs. I'm used to it. I'm a big man. I've skied before. This is going to be fun. I get out onto the slopes. Now, for those of you who've never skied or have skied, you normally warm up with the baby slopes, right? You do a little pizza, snowplow down slowly. Make sure safety for the people. However, me, not so much. We got given an instructor as well. For the reason, I'm not sure, because shortly after, and after some of my sick tricks that you're about to hear about, he left. He knew we were responsible and in good hands being our own. So, what do? I look over at the baby slope. It doesn't look appetizing. I look over at the black slope. We go up it. On the ski lift up, sipping on Jaeger, you know, getting hyped up, calming the nerves for what's about to happen. So I reached the summit of the slope. Skis on, slide towards the edge, look down. It's pretty sharp. It's pretty deep at the bottom. This slope, in fact, is often compared to Mount Everest in height. Rather crazy. So, what do? I shrug it off. I look down, I lean forward, and I start beaming towards the bottom. Now, I don't do the snowplow. That's not in my criteria. I do the S's because I'm speedy, I'm quick. I want to maintain speed as I go down. Obviously, paparazzi lined up the whole side of the slope because they know we're in town. Something about celebrities or something being in town as well, but sure, it was for me. I see a small ridge. I could jump it, but I don't want to show off. So naturally, I don't jump it. Instead, I decide to just give it a little bit of a hop. As I go, I hop. I make a little bit of air. You know, it's a great feeling. People said I actually resembled an eagle in that moment, soaring through the sky, wind at my back, pushing me forward. However, this is where it gets terrible. Flashes of the paparazzi lights catch me in the right eye. I go blind temporarily. I hit the ground. Unfortunately, not on my feet. I actually go in a sort of snowball motion, creating a massive pound of dust. Now, for some that might be embarrassing, not me. I knew it was part of this job. I knew it would be a small bit dangerous, which is alright. So I get back up, shrug it off, ready to go again. I keep going down. At the bottom, I drift. Snow goes everywhere, knocks over a small child. As a gentleman, I go over to the child, reach my hand out as it looks up at me. Eyes big, beaming with light. It knows I'm about to help him up. Psych, move my hand, walk away, ignore the child. It stays on the ground crying. What are you going to do about it? So then later on in the day, it proceeds, whatever. We keep doing the slopes, whatever. And then the Football World Cup final is about to happen. It is the year 2022 after all. So we're on a deadline now. We have to get to the bottom of the slope and into a pub in order to watch Argentina win the game. However, at this point, we didn't know. Nerves were rattling. We wanted Messi to get that cup, you know, beat Ronaldo in his trophies. Now that may tickle some of you the wrong way. However, if it does, I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. Messi is better. So what do? We look down the bottom of the slope. Again, Mount Everest height. Crazy, crazy height. So scary. Not to us though. We're professionals, seasoned in the art of skiing, in fact. Now, I whip out my phone. I put on the app that puts the speed of your skiing. Pretty nifty, pretty handy for high altitude athletes like myself. Put it on, put it in my pocket. I start beelining towards the ground. Time is ticking. We know we have precisely 5 minutes to get to the pub. For an Everest high slope, that could take hours to get down. But 5 minutes is all we got. So I start beelining it. Squirrels, birds, shifting away as I come crashing through around the trees, acing like a pro. I see people on the ski lift looking down at me and cheering. Eventually I get to the bottom. Snowplow. No. See, I almost got you there. Drift. Huge steam of snow goes down, creating an avalanche. Takes out the child. Again, knocked on the ground. Anyway, I get to the bottom. I walk inside. Kickoff about to happen. In fact, we had 30 seconds to spare. Now, naturally, good times come at the pub watching the game. And of course, Argentina wins. Messi, what a great game. Best time of my life. And as Messi lifts the trophy for the World Cup, I reach in my phone to take a photo. Naturally, you want the memory. However, the phone is still on the speed app. And I look down at it, I look up, I look down again, and I realize in this room, and little to the knowledge of everyone around it, they are witnessing not one, but two world champions. One for football, and another for the fastest ever recorded time on a slope. Now, I don't want to say the speed because it may scare some, but in fact, it was 100 kilometers an hour. Now that's pretty damn fast. Definitely not record breaking, but definitely breaking the record in my mind, my heart. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope it was an interesting story. Let me know what you want to see next, and we'll see you tomorrow.